The story brought to us this morning that starts our week off comes from theadvertiser.com. The Daily Advertiser out of Louisiana, and it's a story regarding a police chief who's a sergeant, not like a captain or a lieutenant. It's weird. But former interim Lafayette Police Chief Sergeant Wayne Griffin was fired for violating policies that prohibit lying to investigators and harassment, records show. You mean there's a policy that prohibits lying to investigators? They had to come up with a policy for that? Not only that, the sergeant is interim police chief. What, there's no lieutenants that were fit for the job? Records won in a lawsuit launched by the Daily Advertiser and The Current in February show that Griffin was fired in a January 20th letter for violating Lafayette Police Department policies that prohibit knowingly making false or untrue statements and conduct unbecoming of an employee in dealing with fellow employees, supervisors, and superiors and or members of the public. So basically they had to come up with a policy saying you can't lie to investigators and your conduct cannot be unbecoming of a police officer. Cat over here growling. But interim Lafayette Police Department Chief Monty Potier wrote in Griffin's termination letter, "Your actions have contributed to an embarrassment for the Lafayette Consolidated Government, the Lafayette Police Department, and our officers who proudly wear the badge and take pride in protecting and serving the citizens and business community of the city of Lafayette." He added, "I would be remiss in my duties to uphold the accountability of the department and our officers if I did not administer disciplinary action." That's right, Chief. You would be remiss. So you got to do it. And no slaps on the hand either. Now, Chief Monty goes on, "It was determined the best interest of the Lafayette Police Department and the Lafayette Consolidated Government would be served by termination of your employment." Griffin was dismissed in January after being placed on leave in October when LCG, I guess that's the Lafayette Consolidated Government, received a sexual harassment complaint against him. The complaint was sustained according to a letter of termination, and in court arguments, Griffin's attorney, Allison Melancon, argued records of the investigation should not have been released, claiming Griffin was not fired for sexual harassment, though his termination letter states he violated Lafayette Consolidated Government's harassment policies. Investigators reviewed Griffin's phone and the phone of a woman who was the subject of the harassment. Griffin's phone was fairly new and did not have any relevant evidence. Now, the letter does not make clear whether his phone was issued by the Lafayette Consolidated Government or privately owned phone on his account. Griffin was interviewed on November 11th and a pre-disciplinary hearing was held with his attorney Allison Prégine on January 13th. The termination letter does not specify when Griffin committed the violations outlined in the notice. Now again, I'm just going to paraphrase the rest of it here. He was placed on administrative leave during the investigation and demoted from interim police chief before being fired. That's, I guess, when Monty took over. He's filed an appeal of his dismissal, arguing his termination was without just cause and in bad faith, and that it violated his rights as a police officer while he was under investigation. This could go either way. I mean, if they did violate his rights while he was under investigation, then yeah, you can't do that. But if he lied to investigators, then he shouldn't be crying about his rights being violated. He's a liar, I guess. But Lafayette's got some problems because I just did a editorial on Lafayette Police Department just a week or two ago. And now their interim police chief is in the news. And now they have another interim police chief who's Monty. But Wayne Griffin, sergeant, Anyone from Lafayette? What's up with your police departments putting sergeants in as police chiefs? I want to go there. I'll be police chief.